I remember the exact moment everything changed. It wasn't when I signed my will. It wasn't even when I noticed the tremor in her hand. It was when our glasses touched, and she hesitated for just a second too long. That was the moment I knew something was wrong. I never thought I'd be the kind of man to question my own wife. For 23 years, Samina had been my calm in every storm. The one person who knew how I took my tea without asking. The one who stayed up with me during sleepless nights when business was failing. When my father passed. When life felt like it was slipping through my fingers. We weren't perfect, but we were real. Or at least, I believed we were. It started 3 months ago with something small. Something most people would ignore. She began locking her phone. Not unusual in today's world, but Samina never did that before. We had always been open with each other. Not in an invasive way, just naturally. Her phone would lie around the house, face up, as comfortable as she was with me. But suddenly it wasn't. At first I told myself I was overthinking. Everyone deserves privacy. Then came the late-night messages. A soft vibration on the bedside table, her shifting slightly under the blanket, the glow of her screen briefly lighting up her face before she angled it away from me. "Who is it?" I asked once casually. She didn't look up. "Just family." I nodded. I didn't press, because trust doesn't ask too many questions. Or maybe it should. A few weeks later, my doctor gave me news I wasn't expecting. "It's not urgent," he said, adjusting his glasses. "But it's serious enough that you should start putting things in order." Putting things in order, such a gentle phrase for something so heavy. I drove home that day in silence. The world outside my car window felt distant, blurred. People walked past, laughing, talking, living their lives, completely unaware that mine had just shifted. When I told Samina, she reacted exactly how I expected. She froze. Then her eyes filled with tears. Then she held me. Tightly, too tightly. "I'm here," she whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." And I believed her. God help me. I believed her. The idea of writing a will wasn't mine. It was hers. "You should think about it," she said one evening, her voice soft, careful. Not because anything will happen, but just in case. Just in case. Those words echoed in my mind longer than they should have. Still, it made sense. We weren't young anymore. We had built a life together. A house, savings, small investments. Nothing extravagant, but everything we worked for. So I agreed. We sat together at the dining table, papers spread between us. She helped organize everything, her handwriting neat, deliberate. "You trust me, don't you?" she asked suddenly. I looked up, surprised by the question. "Of course I do." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. That was the first real crack. Not the question itself, but the way she asked it. Like she needed to hear it. Like she needed confirmation, like it mattered more than it should have. In the following days, I began noticing more things, small things. She started insisting on handling the finances, said I should rest more, said I was thinking too much. She took more calls outside. Her tone would change, quieter, sharper, almost rehearsed. Once I walked into the room unexpectedly while she was on a call. She ended it immediately. "Wrong number," she said quickly. But her hand was shaking. I wanted to confront her. I really did. But every time I looked at her, I saw the woman I had loved for over 2 decades. The woman who stood beside me when I had nothing. You don't just throw that away over suspicions. So I stayed quiet, and I watched. The day I signed the will, it felt surreal. Not because of what it meant, but because of how she behaved. She was attentive. Too attentive. Bringing me tea without asking. Adjusting the cushions behind my back, sitting closer than usual, her hand resting on mine like she was afraid I'd disappear. Anyone else would have called it love, but something about it felt staged, like a performance I didn't remember rehearsing. "Are you okay?" I asked her gently. She nodded. "I just want everything to be perfect." Perfect, another word that lingered longer than it should have. That evening, she suggested we celebrate. "Just something small," she said, "for peace of mind." We sat in the living room, the lights dim, the world outside fading into quiet darkness. She brought out 2 glasses of juice. Fresh, she said. Her hands were steady now. Too steady. We talked about old memories, laughed about things we hadn't mentioned in years. For a moment, It felt like everything was normal again, like the past few weeks hadn't happened, like I had imagined it all. Then she handed me the glass. And that's when I noticed it, a faint, almost invisible difference. Her glass had condensation on the outside. Mine didn't. It was a small thing, insignificant, but something inside me tightened. I looked at her. She was watching me, not casually, not lovingly, carefully, as if she was waiting. In that moment, 100 thoughts rushed through my mind. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe this was nothing. But then, I remembered the late-night messages, the locked phone, the strange question, "You trust me, don't you?" I smiled, lifted the glass, and just before taking a sip, I switched them, smoothly, naturally, like it meant nothing at all. "For us," I said softly, raising the glass. She froze, just for a second, but I saw it, that flicker, that hesitation, that crack. Our glasses touched, a quiet, fragile sound, and for the first time in 23 years, she didn't drink. I held her gaze, my heart pounding, not with fear, but with something colder, something sharper, something that finally had a shape. Because in that silence, in that hesitation, in that single moment where she chose not to drink, I realized something I could never unsee. The woman I trusted with my life was afraid of what was in her own glass. And that's when I knew her biggest mistake had already begun. She didn't drink. Not immediately. Her fingers tightened slightly around the glass, just enough for me to notice. Her smile, carefully practiced, perfectly placed, wavered for a fraction of a second. Most people would have missed it. I didn't. "Go on," I said gently, lifting mine as if nothing had changed. "You said we should celebrate." I will," she replied, her voice almost steady. "Just give me a second." A second. Such a small request. But seconds can stretch into something much longer. When the truth is trying to surface, I watched her. Not like a husband watching his wife, but like a man trying to understand the stranger sitting across from him. 23 years. And suddenly, I didn't know her at all. She finally lifted the glass, slowly, deliberately, but instead of drinking, she paused again, bringing it just close enough to her lips to make it seem natural. Then she lowered it. "You go first," she said, forcing a soft laugh. "You always do." That was true. In all our years together, I always took the first sip, always made the first move, always reassured her without her asking. It used to feel like love. Now it felt like expectation, like something she was relying on. So I drank, or at least, I pretended to. The glass touched my lips. I tilted it just enough, let a drop brush my tongue. Nothing unusual. No strange taste. No bitterness. No immediate reaction. I placed it back down calmly. "There," I said. "Happy?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes flicked from my face, to the glass, and back again. As if she was searching for something, a reaction, a sign, anything. But I gave her nothing. Just a quiet, steady look. The kind you give someone when you're still deciding whether to believe them or walk away. "You're not drinking," I said softly. "I am," she replied quickly. But she wasn't. Her hand trembled again. And this time, she couldn't hide it. Something inside me shifted. Not anger, not yet. Something deeper. A quiet understanding. Because in that moment, I realized this wasn't sudden. This wasn't a mistake. This was something she had thought about, planned, prepared, and somehow that hurt more than anything else. "Samina," I said, my voice calm but firmer now. "Look at me." She hesitated. Then slowly she did. And for the first time that night, I saw fear, not worry, not sadness. "Fear, switch it back," she whispered. The words were so soft I almost thought I imagined them. "What?" I asked. Her lips parted slightly, but no sound came out. Then she shook her head. "Nothing." But it wasn't nothing. We both knew that. Silence filled the room again. Heavy, unforgiving. The kind of silence that doesn't just sit between two people. It exposes everything they've been trying to hide. I leaned back slightly, studying her. "Why?" I asked. Just one word, but it carried everything. All the confusion, all the doubt, all the quiet nights I spent convincing myself I was wrong. Her eyes filled with tears, and for a brief, dangerous moment, I almost believed them. I didn't mean to, she started, then stopped, because there was no way to finish that sentence without telling the truth. You didn't mean to what? I pressed gently. She looked down at the glass, the one she refused to touch, the one that now held more truth than anything she could say. I was scared, she whispered. Of what? Her answer came too quickly. Of losing you. I let that sit for a moment. Let the words settle in the space between us. Then I nodded slowly. And this? I gestured lightly toward the glasses. This was your way of dealing with that? She shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks now. It's not what you think. That sentence. It always comes at moments like this, when the truth is standing right there and someone is still trying to push it away. Then help me understand, I said quietly. And I meant it. Because part of me, some stubborn, foolish part, still wanted her to explain it in a way that made sense, in a way that didn't break everything we had. But she couldn't. Her silence said more than any explanation ever could. Minutes passed, or maybe it was seconds. Time felt distorted, like the world had slowed down just to force me to see everything clearly. Finally, I reached for the glass again, the one she had prepared, the one she feared, and I held it up, turning it slightly in the dim light. You made a mistake, I said calmly. Her breathing hitched. She started, but her voice failed her. Yes, I continued, my tone steady. You did. I set the glass back down gently. Not angry, not dramatic, just certain. Not because of what's in here, I added. Her eyes widened slightly. But because you thought I wouldn't notice. That's when something inside her finally broke. Not loudly, not violently, just quietly, like a mask slipping off after being worn for too long. I didn't think you'd switch them, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. There it was. Not a denial, not an excuse, just the truth. Simple, cold, unavoidable. I nodded slowly. Exactly. The room felt different now. Not tense, not uncertain. Just clear, like a fog had lifted, revealing something that had always been there. I just didn't want to see it. I trusted you, I said, not accusing, just stating a fact, a memory, something that used to be real. She closed her eyes, tears falling freely now. I know. And somehow, that hurt more than anything else she could have said, because she didn't deny it. She didn't fight it. She knew. She knew exactly what she had broken. I stood up slowly, not in anger, not to leave, just to create space between us, because suddenly, sitting that close felt impossible. Everything we built, I said quietly, looking at her, was real to me. Her shoulders shook. It was real to me too, she whispered. I paused, studied her face, tried to find the woman I once knew somewhere beneath the fear, the tears, the truth. But I couldn't. Then somewhere along the way, I said softly, you stopped choosing it. She didn't respond, because there was nothing left to say. I glanced at the two glasses one last time, identical, yet completely different, just like us. Then I looked back at her, not with anger, not even with hatred, just clarity. You asked me once if I trusted you, I said. She nodded faintly, unable to meet my eyes. I did. A pause. A breath. A quiet ending to something that once felt unbreakable. And that, I said, turning away, was my biggest mistake. Behind me, I heard her break down completely, but I didn't stop, because some moments don't need closure. They just need distance. And as I walked away, one thought stayed with me, clearer than anything else. She thought the night was about the will, about control, about securing something for herself. But she was wrong. Because the moment she hesitated, the moment she chose silence over truth, she didn't just lose my trust. She lost me.